everybody, my name is Hannah Hutcheson, and today we're going to be talking about photography, but not just any kind of photography, because most people have great cameras on the back of their phone. You know, your camera kind of does what you need it to do for you, changing the light and stuff like that. But we're going to be talking about kind of an old school format of photography, which is Polaroid pictures. Now, Polaroid pictures are kind of in the mainstream media right now because they're really fun and it's a great way to capture memories, and everyone really likes that old school vibe that they kind of give. So this is the most popular Polaroid camera that I've seen people use. It's the mini Polaroid camera, and the pictures on this one are smaller than the pictures on this big boy right here. Now, people like this one more because it's cheaper, the film is cheaper, and it's tiny. Basically, yeah, that's why they like this one more. This one is more expensive, the camera itself is more expensive, and the film is more expensive. However, there are things this camera can do that this camera cannot do. So let's go ahead and talk about some of those features. This camera has an app that you can download on your phone, or any device really, that allows you to set up the camera and pick different modes. So my favorite mode to use is the self timer. So basically it'll have a timer like 5 seconds, 6 seconds. You can pick how many seconds you want. I think it goes up to like 10 seconds. But you can set a timer and you can just leave the camera so that you and all your friends can get in the picture instead of having to do this moment right here where you press the button. I've done many of those on this camera, and it doesn't look very great, honestly. It has this camera has this right here to so that you can see yourself if you want to do that selfie moment, but honestly, they end up never looking good in my experience. So yeah, definitely highly recommend this for those options. Now, that self-timer feature is not the only feature that this camera includes. It also has a bunch of others. So let me go ahead and switch over to the app itself to show you what those features look like. This is what the app looks like when you first open it up. So you're going to select what camera you have, which would be the OneStep camera. And it has a bunch of features on here that you can utilize. So this remote feature is if you want to hold your phone in your hand, you can press a button that will make the camera take the picture. This one is the timer, so you just set up the timer for however long you want. It goes up to 12 seconds, actually, not just 10. And yeah, so you can just leave your phone and wait for the camera to take a picture. This is for if you want your face to look very crisp and you want the background to look kind of blurry. That's what portrait mode would be. Double exposure, the picture pretty much explains what it is, but it kind of takes like 2 captures of the scene and they're gonna kind of lay over each other like that 1 and 2 are. Light painting, this is if you want to if you have like sparklers on the 4th of July and you want the photo to show the picture you're making with those sparklers, you would put it on this. When you press this white button, your camera light turns on like your flashlight. So you could use your phone to light paint for this feature if you wanted to. All right, this noise trigger one is kind of funny. It's like you can set it for however loud you want it to be, but when it reaches a certain volume, it will take the picture. So I'm assuming it's for like parties, like when you're singing happy birthday and you want that picture to be taken for the end of the celebration type thing. I've never used this feature just because I haven't had a need to, but it's still kind of cool. All right, and this is the manual mode. So you can go in and set specific features that you want for your picture. Instead of letting it do it automatically change how it's gonna look based on the lighting, you can go in and change it yourself. You can also turn on the flash and other stuff through the manual mode. Unless you're like a pro photographer, you probably don't want to use this mode because it's harder to grasp unless you know what everything means. I think both of these cameras have their pros and cons. This camera, you charge it with an HDMI plug, while this one, you just put batteries in it. I personally am more of a battery lover because I just never find myself like thinking, oh, my camera's probably gonna die, I need to plug it in. As opposed to the battery, you can literally just stick that bad boy in before you leave if it's dead and you're good to go. This, you have to actually wait for it to charge. So there is that. Another thing that I do like about this one, this is kind of a smaller thing, but this camera, when you close it, because this is it's closed, but you hit this button for it to open. You see how the lens was uncovered when I did that? Here, it's covered. When I open it, you can see the lens. I really like that feature because it makes sure that there's no debris on the actual lens and there's no possibility of it getting scratched. This camera does not have that same feature. The lens is always exposed, which means that it's very easily accessible to dirt and debris, and I actually did scratch the lens of this camera, which is kind of upsetting, but it is what it is. I think it kind of gives more like pizzazz to the pictures because it isn't a bad scratch. It's like right in the corner. But now whenever I cover this up, I actually just put like a cloth over it before I put it away because I don't want it to happen again. This one, the pictures are actually bigger. Yeah, this one has the Bluetooth option, which is great. I love that option so much. This one changes how it's gonna take a picture based on the lighting automatically. So you don't have to actually adjust it. The only thing that you adjust for this one is if you're taking, it has two settings on the top. If you're taking a picture of like, of a big landscape or a lot of people and you want to see everything in the photo clearly, you'll put it on this setting. If it's just a singular person, you put it on that setting and it's more of a portrait moment. But when you change that, it actually changes the lenses. For the smaller one, however, it's definitely more finicky when it comes to light. When you turn it on, the way you turn it on is pressing that button, by the way, and then the lens pops out. But there are settings on the top here. That's why that light is glowing. But the settings, there's a picture of a house, a picture of a cloud, a picture of a sun, a picture of a bright sun, and then high key. So I'll go ahead and show you that. So that's what that is. And so basically you just change it based on the lighting. So you would choose the house option if you're inside and there isn't much light, the cloudy option if you're outside and it's cloudy, so on and so forth. Now that we're done discussing the pros and cons, let's go ahead and talk about how to take proper Polaroids without them looking like trash. I'm gonna show you some examples of what I did wrong and what I did right so that you know how it's gonna actually turn out if you do what I'm telling you to do. Alrighty, let's get into it. Alrighty, so these are some of the bigger pictures that I've taken, and some of these are good and some of these are awful, so let's get it. This one I think is really good. Don't mind the pose I'm doing, I look kind of crazy. But you can see me clearly and you can see the waterfall behind me clearly. Everything looks great, and this was taken with the large camera. This one also, this is just a beautiful landscape. I think it's beautiful. This one, on the other hand, it's very blurry, as you can see. It was of the waterfall. So for this one, I took the photo quickly and didn't stay still for the photo and left. And the thing with Polaroids is after you take the photo, you have to wait like 2 or 3 seconds to let it completely capture that photo. Otherwise, your photos are gonna look like this. If you click and then leave, that's how your photos are gonna look. Same thing happened here with the same waterfall. I made the same mistake twice, so yeah. But this picture, on the other hand, looks great because the person who took the photo stood very still and my whole family was able to get in the photo. So yeah, those are some examples of the big Polaroids. Now let's get into the tiny Polaroids. Alrighty, so these are some of the tiny Polaroids that I have and I wanted to go ahead and talk about. So, this is an example of not coming in too close to whoever you're going to take a photo of because it's going to look blurry and it's just not going to look great. These 3 photos, and the problem with these 3 was the flash was not on the right setting. So instead of hitting the indoor setting, I think I left it on high key or something of the sort. But basically the tiny camera, you have to fiddle with the lighting settings, and these just were not on the right lighting setting because they're all very dark. Now these are the opposite problem. They're all very bright. Me and my brother in this photo, our faces are very whitewashed. Me and my friend Aiden, you cannot even see the background, it's just white. For this, the sun blocked out the picture because of how bright it was. So again, make sure that your camera is on the right setting when you are going outside, otherwise it's gonna either look really dark or really white. So yeah, keep that in mind, especially for the tiny camera because it isn't automatic. You have to actually physically change that setting before you take the picture. Now, these 3 photos here were all taken at night. So my general rule with taking photos at night is if you're gonna take them, make sure that your subject is very close to you because the flash is gonna hit them, but you're not gonna be able to see the background. You can see this was taken also completely at night, but the subject is right in frame and you can see the subject perfectly. They're eating macaroni and cheese, you can tell that. But the background, you have no idea what's going on because it's pitch black dark. For this photo, I had a friend standing right here. You cannot see them at all because it's too dark. When you're taking photos at night with Polaroids, you have to make sure that the subject is standing very close to the camera where the flash can hit. These were the same. I thought that maybe I could take a photo of my phone recording. As you can see, it didn't work because you can't see what's going on. It just looks like a big black blur. So yeah, don't make that mistake. Now these are some of the examples of what to do. So these 3 were all taken inside and I put them on the inside setting and you can see everybody clearly. You can tell that the flash was on and you can tell what's going on. So yeah, those worked great. This one was taken outside. So I made sure that I put it on the bright outside setting and you can see the water clearly, the tree line, you can see the clouds in the sky. It looked great. This one, I was standing outside and I had a friend take this photo for me, but it was on the right setting. You can see my face, you can see my outfit, you can see the water behind me, the trees, the sky, you can see everything perfectly because it was on the right setting. So yeah, that's why the photo looks so good. And this is just an example of what the selfies look like. Alrighty, and that concludes my videos on how the Polaroid cameras work, how to utilize each function, the pros and cons of both, and how to just be a great photographer with Polaroid cameras. Now, if you're just a beginner and you're not really sure which one to choose, I would definitely go for the smaller one because it is very beginner friendly, very easy to use, and you can honestly deal without the extra benefits that the bigger camera has. If you are in love with photography, it's a passion of yours, and you're really interested in the big one, then I say totally go for it because I love the features. They're worth it for me, but I'm a big photography fan, so yeah, use with that information what you will. But that concludes my video, so I hope you guys have a great week. Make sure you're taking care of yourself,